We have bills and we have to make products and we have to sell things. And I think there's no shame in survival.
I wanna be able to do something creative every day, all day long.
And I was like, oh, I can actually, make money from this. This is cool. What if I really actually leaned into it?
Maybe like the real hot take is if a human is using AI as a tool, is it still art?
Welcome to the Content Parlor. I'm your host, Chardell. To my right, your left, we have
Bart Vargas.
Jen Young.
Tara Pierce.
Eduardo Gardea.
The artist Young.
Wow, he went with the artist.
You went there.
I love it.
I did
full name?
last second decision.
Before we started, we were trying to see if he was going to say the artist or Teddy. He went with the artist.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fitting. I thought it was fitting.
Well, welcome back to the show. We've got a packed panel once again. Really excited today. We're talking about art and culture and the money-making aspects of that. So today's episode is called Artist Moneymaker. We've got some heavy hitters on the panel today, some people that have really made a splash in the community throughout the years, not just one time, not just two times. We got some 3 times and some 4 times. But we are really excited to get this conversation going. I just want to remind you just some housekeeping before we get started. The Content Parlor is a conversation place for creatives, business owners, artists, and entrepreneurs. You can follow us on YouTube at the Content Parlor and all the social medias except for X. I think we're not on
Oh,
X.
it's only one.
But we're everywhere else. LinkedIn, just tap in, okay? Just tap in. We've got the latest and greatest on YouTube, and our shorts will be on all the platforms. All right? So before we get started, we want to introduce the panel. Now, normally I go ladies first, and I'm going to do it again. Let's start with our special guest today, Jen Young.
Oh.
Thank you for coming on the show. Would love to know, I know a little bit about you, but I'm sure the folks would love to know a little more about you, who you are, and what kind of work you do.
All right. Well, again, my name is Jen Young, and I am an artist who specializes in acrylic painting as well as paper crafting with handmade greeting cards. And so I do anything from murals to painting on canvas to creating. I have a line of greeting cards, and then I also do commission pieces for people, so personalizing gifts and thoughtfulness. So.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
There's more to unpack there.
So much.
And then
yeah,
where
go ahead.
can people find you?
Where people can find me, I work out of Hot Shops Art Center in Studio 219, so you can find me there throughout the week. You can find my greeting cards in multiple locations of Mary's Mountain Cookies, as well as downtown in the Hollywood Candy location. They have a artisan market.
Did not know that. Well, thanks for sharing. Are those exclusives in there?
Exclusive. Well, all of my greeting cards are actually made individually, handmade, and they're all different. So none are the same. So there's
Everything's exclusive.
Yeah, the novelty is then the uniqueness of each card.
Impressive. Let's go here. Let me make sure I'm saying your name right. Eduardo.
That's right.
Okay. I want to make sure I get that right before we get too far in the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of work you do. Where can people find you on social media?
People can find me social media on Facebook and on Instagram. My website is available on Facebook and on the Instagram link as well. Similar to Jen, I'm in the Hot Shops Art Center. She's on the 2nd floor, I'm on the 3rd floor, so pretty easy to just find us easily in there. I'm an acrylic painter. I'm a muralist as well. And when I paint on canvas or wood, I try to focus on maybe like underrepresented populations and provide an educational component to what I'm painting. So maybe providing maybe more of an unknown side of history to those paintings, to those figures. And haven't quite broken that into the mural side yet, but definitely in the canvas and the wood paneling paintings.
Very cool. I'm very interested to see that. I'm gonna hook you up. I see your chain is a little crooked there, so I don't know if you want to straighten that out a
thank
little
you.
bit.
Yeah, get me right.
Yeah, just so your close-ups are
Your
nice.
hair's good too?
Hair's sharp.
Hair's always
I wish I
sharp.
could grow my hair like that. We've got another special guest here before we get to our usual suspects. Sorry, guys. Let's go here. Bart Vargas, am I saying that right?
Correct.
Okay. You came highly recommended by several people on the panel today, so would love to hear the official introduction, who you are, what kind of work you do, and where people can get in touch with you after this.
I'm a multidisciplinary artist and educator. I'm kind of all over the place. And so, like, I build sculptures out of recycled and surplus materials, things that we take for granted. I have a pretty prolific painting practice where I salvage, like, used canvases, and I salvage house paint from under the sink, the county collection site. And so I pretty much just paint with house paint on canvas and in murals. I also do a daily drawing series that I've been doing for over 4 years, where I draw a pen and ink drawing every day and post it on social media. That's become drawings, prints, patches, stickers. Like, I call that swag. I have a website called bartswag.com where we sell those things. I also do ceramics, where I make molds of pre-existing objects like toys, everyday things, and just with that practice, I play with a lot of identity and just how everybody's sort of intersectional, like, where we're not just one thing, where everybody's a complex multitude of things. I'm probably forgetting something. Yeah, but I have I'm a workaholic. I work 7 days a week, and you can find my work on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. And so just using my name, you can find me in a lot of the spaces.
Interesting. So you've jumped in on Threads. That's the Instagram spinoff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like Meta's Twitter.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't jumped on there. I'll have some questions for you about that. Well, thanks to our guest for joining the panel today. Tara,
Yeah.
it's good to see you on the show.
Where does I have like something go in my eye? This is great.
Teddy.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so we're talking about artist moneymakers today. Tell people a little bit about the work that you do in the creative space outside of work.
Right. Okay, so, my art is more of like a hobbyist type thing. Over the years, I've done several little shows here and there. Just kind of like developing a style and like trying to figure out my identity as an artist and where I really fit in at. And it's kind of morphed over time. Right now, currently, I'm doing jean jacket classes with Jen, and so we're painting on the back of them. So I'm doing a lot of wearable art, which is kind of like fitting into this. I kind of got into like the fashion stuff at the Culxr House recently, and so that's really like inspired that. And so, previous to this, I've dabbled in like printmaking, a lot of acrylic and oil painting. Really any medium.
Are you wearing a jacket now?
I am.
Oh
I
my
am.
gosh, this is shameless
course.
plug.
Oh my gosh. Am I going to have to stand up and turn around?
Not right now.
Okay.
We'll do a show and tell. But from what I can see from this angle, which you guys can't see, it's looking pretty cool. It's looking pretty cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, promoting the workshop.
Yeah.
Join the workshop.
Yeah. I did forget to mention that I do workshops too.
Yeah.
But
She's the one
I
that got
figured
me
we would
connected.
talk about it.
Yeah,
Not
you.
enough time.
We'll get
Yeah.
there.
We got all this.
Teddy, back on the show.
Yes,
Artist is in your name, practically.
it is. I wouldn't say I'm an artist. I did like drawing when I was a kid, but I guess where I found my ability to express that was with computers. So graphic design. That's how I express myself creatively. So yeah, I've been doing that for 15 years now. I've been
Wow.
yeah.
Cool.
So you can find my work through Stable Gray.
Company Stable Break.
Yeah, right on.
Cool. Thanks for being on the show. I guess I'm the outlier of the group. I don't do any physical art per se. I do come from a musical background, so I have a great appreciation for just expressing yourself creatively. Used to run a recording studio full time in my 20s, showing my age a little bit. But excited to learn about this topic today. So let's jump right in. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you get updates on the podcast through YouTube. And we will see you on all the platforms in the comments below. So with the introductions out of the way, we're talking about artist moneymaker. Just to spin things off, I just think it's fair to have to pass the mic to Tara to kind of set up what we're talking about today when it comes to making money as an artist and the challenges that people face. So what can you add to just like that topic to get us rolling?
I wouldn't say I've had like the most luck with making money as an artist, which is, as you can see, why I went into graphic design. But I do know that there are many people out there, such as our guests here, that have been able to make that a way of life and really live in that space. And so I thought, today coming in and talking about that and bringing awareness to the people that are able to successfully live the life that I've dreamed of living, it would just be such a great conversation,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so let's just go around the room and talk about that transition. So I want to hear a little bit of your backstories, each of you, of how you got into monetizing your space. So where did you start off at, and how did you wind up converting that into some type of monetary value? I guess we can start right here on the end with the deep thinker.
Well, I was thinking back. I've been doing this for so long. I've been making art probably my whole life, but I've been seriously showing it for probably 25 years. I'm trying to think of all the different ways I could go with this. Like, I've learned I've had to have multiple income streams over my life. Usually there's always a day job. Like, education is my day job. I teach at a community college, and that gives me a stable income that I can predict and health benefits and stuff like that. But I've, for probably 10 years before I got that job, I was probably freelancing for 10 years, augmenting it with teaching, augmenting it with commissions, sometimes like different types of physical labor, like whether it be building crates for other artists to ship work or landscaping. But I've had all kinds of jobs over my career and supplementing my art. The pandemic really forced me to think of different ways to make money off of my art, because when the pandemic hit, I was teaching part-time and then freelance working, like doing workshops, speaking at conferences, doing summer camps, things like that. But that March, like most of us experienced, in March, everything started getting canceled in 2020. And so I looked at the next 6 months of work just evaporate. And so I had to look at what I was already doing. And one thing I was already doing was drawing, doing a drawing every day. And I turned those into prints and started selling those online. I turned them into stickers and started selling those online, and even patches and pins. And thankfully, over that year and a half where everyone was home, people couldn't go out and have experiences, so they were buying things. And I don't know how I did it, but I was able to pay the bills through the pandemic. And I thought I was going to have to get rid of the studio. And I was trying to think, like, because my wife is like asking me, like, is this real? What's going on? Like, when they told us we couldn't go to work and stuff. And I just tell her everything was fine, and then go in the bathroom and go like,
It's real.
and so, like, a part of my career is like, I have no formal training in graphic design, but I sort of had to teach myself how to use what I had to make money through graphic design over the pandemic. And that's translated into making posters and things for different nonprofit organizations, and different things that I believe in, because I think our art should say things and it should
Yeah.
stand for what we believe in. But it's a hustle, and I speak to college students. I was just at a professional practices class at UNO, and two of the students asked me, like, how do I work for myself day one when I graduate? And I'm just like, if you can build a reputation and network that sustains you instantly, please let me know. Because I've been working on one for 25 years and I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
And like it'll probably be a task I have to do the rest of my life.
Yeah, I hear you. Wow. Well, that's interesting hearing about the pandemic and the impact that had on your career shift. There was all this talk about, AI taking jobs, and that just makes me think of that. It just makes me think of when it comes to being a true creative, there's always going to be a need for a human to do that kind of work. And that was one of those moments where it became glaringly obvious that if you have a creative skill, even in a pandemic, you can monetize it if you know how to convert that. So, Jen, you named a few of the things you do. I know there's some more things under that tool belt. So how did you get to this point of working as a creative and making a living at it? Where did it start, and how did we get here?
So where I started was actually in education as well. I did that probably about 5-6 years as an education specialist. I was working for a federally funded program, but I had also a desire to do event planning. And so I love crafting, creating, designing, so I put my creative energy into that. And so eventually I ended up kind of pivoting probably about, I'd say maybe about 8 years ago, where I realized I really wanted to follow art and painting and creating and those kinds of things, because I was told that if I wanted to be an artist, I would have to basically not be able to make any money, and you have to have like a stable job and all these different things. But I had to really look at like what was I really wanting to do, because I wasn't very happy just doing events. I wasn't fully happy. I realized I wasn't using all my skills and abilities. And so I ended up pivoting my business from an event business to making and creating cards that I was into a business. So I was doing it for fun, for family and friends, and people just kept asking me, hey, why don't you sell these? I'm like, I don't know, who wants these, But I was able to kind of open up have my eyes open, because I just met the right people. There was a boutique that was opening up in Blackstone.
Okay.
She was awesome. It was called Cleveland Clothing. And I showed her my cards, and she started selling them. And I was like, oh, I can actually, make money from this. This is cool. What if I really actually leaned into it? And then in order to advertise and market my ability to craft and create, I was doing workshops in her space to pull clients in. And then we found out that it was an actual thing that people wanted to experience, like learn from a local artist. And so then I started actually putting craft classes and like paint classes into what I do. And so I'm trying to keep this long story short, but because I can really go in, y'all.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of lessons along the way. So I realized I had to have multiple streams of income.
Okay.
Because I was told once, like a long time ago, to build wealth, you have to have like 4 or 5 or something like that. And I thought, okay, if I just suspend this idea of, I have to work a different job in order to support myself as an artist. And I thought, how can I make money as an artist doing the things that I love to do? I saw multiple businesses in it. So I started leaning into the greeting cards. I started leaning into doing workshops for people. I leaned into commissions in art and different disciplines, from painting to making hand-lettered pieces for people, even calligraphy for like weddings, just figuring out what I actually like doing. And I found that contract work also, in my background in events, was also super helpful as well, because I was able to take on different projects as I needed to supplement my income. And then I was able to go full-time back in like, I think the beginning of 2018. as an artist full time. But then the pandemic, a lot of income, a lot of things dried up right before my eyes. And it actually, because I was able to find some different supportive funds and just a lot of people in my community, just super supportive, just helping me keep pushing myself for what I wanted to do. I was able to actually take time to really look at what I want to do. And out of that, I realized, okay, I want to not only just help myself be able to make a career out of this, I want to help other people be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I created something was birthed called the Creative Impulse. And so what that is, it's a collaboration, a DIY studio collaborating with other local artists like Tara, who I just basically create a workshop around their aesthetic that anybody can just step into and learn, and it grows artist appreciation. It not only does that, but it also connects people to a local artist and hopefully expands their platform as well. And then also put money in their pocket, because people really love gathering, they love events, and I feel like it builds value across the board. So I've been just working, how do I make sure I can monetize this in a way that I can support myself, but also help other artists who are trying to be more self-supporting, and also expand their platform, because it's about people knowing what you do. No one knows what you're doing, and artists have a very hard time talking about what they do. It's hard to survive. It's hard to get yourself out there. It's hard to talk about yourself.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, and I know, we could talk about Love to Love and so many other things that
Events.
Events and all of that stuff, but maybe we'll come back to that. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, we could just stop there and just talk on that all night. But let's talk with, let me make sure I say this right, Eduardo, about your journey for a moment, getting into art. So you've told us a little bit about yourself, but how did you get into the business side of things? Like, what inspired you to pick up art and then, find that moment where it's like, oh, I can monetize this?
This could be a really short story long, really quick.
We've got some time.
Yeah, let me take it back to 2008. No, well, I do want to kind of mention that a little bit. So I was graduating high school in 2008, and I think as an artist, people just kind of assume that, like, you've always known that you wanted to be an artist. You've always known that you were destined to be a creative, and it was just like this lifelong dream fulfilled. And in high school, I just DJ'd a lot, and really didn't envision myself doing anything different. It's not like I took a couple art classes, but I wasn't like an advanced art student or anything. There were much more talented drawers and painters in my class than I was. And I wanted to go to school for music production. And around the time that I graduated high school, I was actually incarcerated as a youth. And when I got out, I was 20 years old. And so kind of trying to like navigate just my place in the world, but also just like, what does it mean to be a young person? Kind of like having to set my personal ambitions aside and trying to fit into this mold of what I felt like society wants for me. So kind of like set any creative ambitions all the way aside. Like went to school, got my BA in business administration, really tried to crack into the corporate world. And because of my background, was met with a lot of closed doors. And so really was not thinking about how can I make art and how can I be creative? I was just trying to survive and make a living any way that I could. And, a lot of like labor intensive positions.
Yeah.
And it got to be probably about 2017 where I'm like, you know what? I've been kind of writing a lot. Why don't I like self-publish a poetry book? And so I did that. And again, like didn't have this aspiration of wanting to be this writer. Just wanted to put together this collection of poems and thought that it'd be neat to put into a book. And around the beginning of 2020, I decided to volunteer for a local nonprofit that assists the formerly incarcerated population of Nebraska called RISE. And by the end of 2020, I was working for them. Again, like creativeness was not on my mind, like making artwork was not on my mind at all. At this point, it was really just about like, wow, this dream, like I'm finally working for an organization that I can feel proud of. I'm not breaking my back to make a living, like I'm proud. I'm actually, for the first time in my life, at 30, feeling like this is something that I'm happy doing. And around that time, I just started painting. I went to Blick and just got some art supplies just because I felt like painting something that I wanted to do at the time, just like on a whim. But it never stopped. I just never stopped doing that. And so simultaneously, my career within the nonprofit was growing. So was my art practice. I was thankfully, I think getting better at both things. And around 2021 is when I moved into the hot shops.
Okay.
And so again, I felt like I was approaching this fork in the road moment where my art practice is growing, but I'm also growing in my nonprofit career. Wow, and then as time is going by, like, wow, like people are kind of like liking my artwork. They're buying it. That's cool. That's always great. And feeling more and more pulled to the freedom, I guess, that an artistic lifestyle can bring if you wanted to step into it full time. And feeling like I think I could really make a go at this if I want. And so I really felt like I had a lack of time.
Yeah.
I felt like I was already working 50 hours a week. And I wish that I could be taking that time that was going towards working in the nonprofit world to my art practice and thinking like, I'm already making these really cool things. I have so many ideas. I wish that I didn't have to go to work. I wish that this could be my work.
Yeah, that pressure mountain.
Yeah. And so a decision just had to be made, and I decided to do art, take it full time, if you want to call it that. But the monetization of it, I feel like there's a certain extent that is in the artist's control. Like you can hustle, and it is a hustle a lot of times, like whether you're like making cards or making prints, you're doing great work in a variety of mediums. At the end of the day, like it's almost like out of our control. Like, and I have to remind myself that it's a big, massive blessing that people like what we make. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Like I could sell myself all day long. I could go to all the meetings, do all the networking. But people have to like kind of like you as a person, for one. And they have to like what you're making. And I don't feel like even if I did all the steps possible, like it's so out of my control whether somebody buys it or not. When I decided to take the leap to go full time, obviously finance is a big decision in any artist's career. But I felt pretty blessed that I had some preppers that were, I had Jen talking in my ear, quite a bit like, this is what it's like, is this what you want? Like, these are the struggles, like, and listening to her vent sometimes about the wins and the struggles sometimes, and other small business owners that were kind of coaching me along the way, like, this is what you want, this is what it's going to be like, and it's not going to be all fun and glory and rainbows. And then, of course, having my dad in my ear, too, like, the day that I told him, I mean, I love my dad. I love you, whichever camera you're in. Like, but
He loves your dad.
The day that I told him that I was going to take art full time, he's like, I don't think that it's going to go well for you.
Oh, wow.
But he comes from, so I'm first generation, and so his whole life has been stability, work a job for 30 years, make sure you have that consistent income coming in. And to hear a Mexican immigrant son tell you that, hey, I'm going to step into this like super unpredictable lifestyle and I don't know where my paycheck is going to come from, it's almost like, how do you have the audacity to do that? But so long story short, I'm going to wrap that like life story section of that up. But the monetization of it, I just feel like you have to get yourself out there. And especially in today's day and age with social media being as popular as it is and where everybody's attention is, you have to remain top of mind to people. I don't want to say like you'll go forgotten if you're not like posting all the time or things like that, or just out in the community. But there is a certain degree of yourself, like putting yourself out there and making sure that people even know that you make things, that you do these things, and even like take it a step further, not assuming that they know that they're for sale. Because I've posted tons of stuff sometimes, and in my mind, I'm like, everything is for sale. Take it. You can have this all if you want.
Yeah, right.
I'll post stuff and people are like, yeah, I would have bought that. I didn't know it was for sale.
It's like, what?
I'm like, what do you mean you didn't know it was for, like, this is my livelihood here. Like, please buy it. So I guess like what's helped me a lot is not assuming, I'm not dumbing down, the public's awareness or knowledge, but just don't assume that they know what is available or like that you are doing this full time or that, any piece is for sale. just like over-educate, I guess, over-explain.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I'm doing right now. But
No.
I don't think
great.
so.
I hope that answers the question. I hope that,
Yeah.
that's
It kind
clarity.
of goes into our next question about our artists making it today. Are they making money? You guys kind of touched on that. So I guess we can flip that question a little bit, and then I'm going to pass it to Tara after this one. But the follow-up to that, and this could just be a yes or no. If you have some commentary, feel free. But when you look back and you look at today, are you making it? Are you making a living? Are you able to sustain yourself doing what you're doing? We'll start with Jen.
Can I actually something that
Yes,
Eduardo said?
please do.
I really did connect because it leads into what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
What your dad said to you, because love my dad too.
Yeah.
He did not mean to discourage me.
Right.
He was just thinking about me being okay. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I did say I want to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He actually supported that. He took me to Blick for me to get acrylic paint and paper. Just let me just have a great time. But the minute I was like, "Hey, I want to support myself this way," he was like, "Oh, I don't think that's going to work. You need to do this." And that's why I totally just put it out of my mind. I didn't even think of myself as an artist anymore. I just didn't think it was anything practical. But it was through self-realization that I was like, I have to try to do this. I'm not going to be fully happy if I don't. And so about making money, it depends. I think it depends on how you feel about how you make your money. When I was younger, I thought if I make X amount of money by this certain age, then I'm making it. But now I've realized, because I've been harsh with myself, and I realized I'm able to pay my bills, I'm able to eat. I may not be hitting my goals quite yet where I want to be, but I'm on my way there. And so I would say I'm able to support myself, but I'm also have resources to keep doing what I'm doing, if that makes sense. But now I'm not caught in it being a certain way or looking a certain way.
That's fair.
For me to make that money.
That's fair. And when you raised up your arm right there, I just noticed that's a Culxr House shirt.
Oh.
Artist, founder, creative.
Advocate.
Yeah, that's a cool shirt.
Little
Thank
shout
you.
out to Culxr House.
Yeah, let's
Shout out.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I wear this when I especially want to remind myself of who I am. I'm many things.
I
not
love
one
it.
thing. So.
Well, shout out to Culxr House. We're going to come back to Culxr House because they do some really powerful things related to artists and creatives. We'll come back to that in a second. But let's just talk for a second with Bart about, are you making it now? You did talk about doing this part-time, your school teaching and things like that. Where are you at with things? Do you think artists are making it?
I think I tend to think of it if you're successful or not, because you have to define what's successful for yourself. I have been a full-time visual artist, and I loved it. I love working for me. I'll work harder for me than I will for anybody else, but that came with a lot of instability and a lot of financial anxiety at times. So there was times I was making money, but then there were sort of the droughts in between where, like, am I going to get another gig? As I got older, got into relationships, got married, now I have more than just myself to worry about. I've had to think about, like, maybe teaching at college full time, getting, having an income I can count on. No matter what, making it is going to be hard work. Like, it's going to be a hustle. Like, it's going to be workshops, the artwork itself. You can make it if you're willing to put in the work. I've been like, I just turned 50 last year, and so I think I've entered sort of like this reflective time in my life. And I kind of, you provoked a lot of thoughts with what you talked about your experiences, because my father was first generation Mexican American, and when I went to school about 10 years after everybody else, and I was working as a janitor, and he saw that as a stable 40-hour-a-week job. And I told him I got a scholarship to go to school, and he was like, "What are you going to study?" And I said I was going to study art. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to throw your scholarship away." And but I I didn't. Like, I got an education. I went on to get furthered that education, and now I teach art. So even though I have a day job, it's in the arts. And my art career has taken me around the world. I've done a lot of work in Asia. I've shown work in more countries than I've got to go to, but I've got to travel a lot with my art. And so even though some people might think I don't have a lot of financial capital in the community, me and my wife are very active, and we have a lot of cultural capital in the community. And I've had a lot of experiences where, I've got to see the world through my art. And I would have never done that if I stayed a janitor or got a 40-hour-a-week job that my dad would have been happy with. Instead, I've chose to take risks and work for myself. And so I might not feel like I'm making it some days, or I might not feel. I wonder if I should be further along than I am. But when I look back at my experiences and all I've accomplished, I feel really grateful and really successful.
That's fair. I think there's a lot of. I know Teddy, you got something you could say to that as well. But just my thoughts on that. I totally agree with everything that's been said. I think the journey is similar for us. We are. Two people from two different college degrees. I went to school originally for truck driving. Is how, I have a CDL. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went to school for truck driving. Yeah. Because of those same reasons, because it just wasn't taught to me that being a creative could be a career path, and not only that, but just I avoided my skill set for so long because nobody told me that I was good at it, at making things, breaking the rules, doing things creatively. So it resonates with me. But Teddy, it looked like you had something you might want to add to that.
I was just listening to everybody's stories, really inspiring, But yeah, it makes me think about myself as well. I never, considered myself like, a creative or an artist, and I'm self-taught graphic design. I didn't particularly go to school for it. It was just it was just a class I took getting ready for an internship, and was like, oh, you can do this kind of stuff and create digital art, and I really liked it and just continued to keep getting better at it through, at that time YouTube was just starting up. So you wasn't just, funny cat videos. You could actually look up other, rainbow videos. But yeah, I never, I remember when I was, at the job that I was at, I never thought that, oh yeah, I could own, on a business, marketing business, doing this, right? Other people did that. I had that thought, but never, thought that would happen. But, life, takes you on a journey. You say yes, take risks, and like you're saying, like, you take that risk and keep going. You never know where you end up.
Tara, what do you think? Are you making it as an artist?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm doing my best, that I can. For me, I had like a series of unfortunate events happen in my life. Because I originally started school for studio art. So literally my plan was, to do that solely. And of course, the father comes in, all of our family.
The father.
We have a theme.
Love him. He's a great dad. Love him. But he's very practical. And all of my past family, like all of the men in my family are business owners, right? So he expected me as his firstborn child, right? Kind of treating me like a boy, to go to school for business administration and help him run his business. And, I signed up for studio art. Sorry. I don't want to do what you do now. I did put in 10 years for him, managing his stores and stuff. But, I've always, like most of you guys, had a main job and done art on the side. And, I feel like when I was, out of job, like working in the fast food industry, like I was pouring a lot of free time into art. So I'm like working 50 hours a week, and then everything, I'm single, so everything else I'm doing is painting and painting and painting and painting. Now, I was always too introverted to put myself out there and do the networking was the problem. I think I'm getting better at that now, just getting older. But then, you know, like life happened, and I came to a turning point and was like, yeah, I wanna be able to do something creative every day, all day long, you know? So like, what else can I do? And so I was like, well, why not pour myself into graphic design for a while and like see how this turns out, and you know, see if I like it, because I had no idea. I didn't know anything about the programs. All I knew was Runza and painting, right? And so I did go to school for graphic design at UNO, actually just a couple of years ago. It's the best job I've ever had. Like, I mean, obviously I've
At Runza, or-
I've Runza to compare to it, but
Clear that up for the people.
no, graphic design
Don't
is the
sleep on
best job
Runzas.
I've
Don't
had.
sleep on those
Yeah.
Runzas.
You know,
Runza
That-
fries
Runza
are
with
pretty
cheese,
good.
man.
Shout out Runza fries.
that was, yeah.
Not to cut you off.
It was something else. But so like I do feel like I'm making it, because like I'm fulfilled during the day by getting to create, and especially at the company that I'm at now, getting to create these things for different companies, but like still use my creative intuition on like the design choices and all of that stuff. So like I'm happy. I'm like genuinely happy. And then, you know, like getting connected with more people just as you get older, and like more opportunities like this stuff with Jen, and she helped me get a studio recently at the Radial Arts Center, which has always been a dream of mine, to have my own studio.
Cool.
Yeah, so like things are happening, and it's just like, I think it's just a slow process, and that and over time, like that's something that I'm okay going slow. Like I don't need everything right now. Like I'm very grateful for the things that are going on in my life,
Yeah.
and where it's come to.
Yeah. But I feel like art for you, it gives you energy.
It
So
does.
even if you're not necessarily hitting other benchmarks that you're trying to hit, you're fulfilled and you're energized each day as you go out and do what you do.
Yeah, I'm not so much about like, I've actually wanted to step away from monetizing my art, because I feel like it was a cruel thing that happened to me.
That's the dream for all of us, to just, we don't need money, we just need to be able to eat, live a good life. If we could have all those things covered and
Yeah.
just make art, we'd be good.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I don't.
totally get that.
I've never really like.
real.
I've never dreamt of like being a millionaire or like having all this money or like, you know. So I'm like, okay, I got this stable job, and then I could just. I'm tired of doing commissions for people. I'm tired. Like I just want to paint for myself. Okay.
I feel you.
And like, you know, like so like I have to. Now I don't always get to do that, because I do freelance graphic design in my free time, and then I do, you know, end up trying to sell stuff just because I'm addicted to it at this point. But I don't forget where I was going. So anyways, like it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to enjoy my life. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to worry about money.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know.
Now, there's a follow-up question to that. All of you have in common here working out of Omaha to do these things. So that's kind of where we're headed next anyway. Is Omaha a great place to be an artist? Or I guess the way the question is written, is it a great place for artists to thrive? What do you think, Jen?
Start with me.
Can you thrive here
Can
as
you
an
thrive?
artist?
Okay, so I believe you can, if you can find your pocket, your space, your community. If you stay networked and you talk to people. So I'll use Tara for example. Like I sit on a board for a nonprofit called Real Art Center, and it keeps me knowing things. It keeps me central. It keeps me connected to other artists. And then also being at Hot Shops, man, that was a game changer, because I was around artists creating every single day. which helped motivate me to do the same thing, but then also learn from each other. And so as long as I think you can, I think Omaha is behind on making space as for artists as business owners, small business owners. I think that's something that there's room for that, and I think that's starting to expand. I'm trying to be a part of that solution in what I'm doing with Creative Impulse and stuff like that, but I truly believe you can if you're actually leaning in and you're in the midst of things. If that makes sense.
Okay. Interesting.
Can artists thrive?
Can they thrive, Teddy? Can artists thrive?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's like part of like how that question came about. I think about, Creative Impulse. I think about organizations, you think about Hot Shops, you think about Culxr House, Art Plug,
Yeah.
like different, and even, I know y'all was a part of that mural project on the North Omaha Trail, and how that came about, right? It's like intentional. So it's like, do you find a lot of support from like organizations and different projects like that are intentionally trying to, create a platform for artists, trying to hire artists and things like you just did a gig, right? For a restaurant. Like, so I
have a
think,
lot to say.
so I think about all that. Does that, is there a lot of that going on that you would say, yes, Omaha is a place that artists can thrive because there's organizations and people actively like trying to create opportunities for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. I think it's a multi-layered question. Like everyone said something that that provoked a lot of thoughts. Like saying yes, like when you feel like, okay, maybe this isn't like you didn't envision this for yourself, right? Or like that's for like other people. And I think, yeah, like an artist can thrive here, and I think like many artists can thrive here. But it goes back to like everybody's individual definition of success or making it or am I thriving is so individual. And it's like two layers. It's like, does one as an artist, there's a certain amount of accountability that takes place for that individual. And there's also the other side, like how much opportunity is Omaha as a city providing for the artist. If my goals are X, Y, and Z, but I'm not doing the things to achieve those goals, then that's on me. That's not the city's fault. Like I'm very big on discipline and like doing the things that will get you to where you want to be. Other people have done certain things. You can do them too. And the roadmap is in front of you, so just do those things. Figure out your own piece to the puzzle to accomplish your goals, and then maybe you will thrive to your own personal definition. But on the other side of that, I do think that Omaha, like Jen said, is very kind of young or like still figuring out like how to bridge the gap between the creative community and the rest of the community. You could go to, and we see this because a lot of creatives will leave Omaha
Yes. You see that a lot.
Yes.
because they want to go to already, I guess you could say like more established creative communities. And it's not just the creative community. They have like a way to monetarily support their creatives. You could pick up as an artist right now, go to, for example, Santa Fe, that only has like 80,000 people, and you can make a living just off of doing your art. You don't have to be a community advocate. You don't have to go on panels. You don't have to be, do workshops. You can just sell your artwork and live as an artist. And in Omaha, they want you to have all these different hats on. You need to be all these different things. And that's if you're lucky enough to get picked as like an Omaha darling to get the opportunities.
Yeah. That's good.
If those are your goals. Now, if your goals are just like, hey, like I'm happy at my full-time job, I'm happy just to come home and like make my artwork and be cool with that, then you're thriving if those are your goals, and not one is better than the other. But it's just a multi-layered question to ask if Omaha artists are thriving. Like I feel like I am, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that have presented themselves. But there's a lot of creatives in Omaha that feel like not enough of the opportunities are being spread beyond those that historically have always gotten those opportunities.
Right.
That's good. That's a really good observation. We talk about just the concept of gatekeeping and some of those, things because, like I always say, money goes where money flows, right? And a lot of times that it's like a river, right? It's like where the opportunities have already gone. That's the next time the water flows down there, it just flows again to the same pathways. So that's a very good observation. I think as well from an ecosystem standpoint, just as we transition to the next person, for sure, a lot of the industries haven't been built yet. But to your point, it kind of depends on how you look at that, right? If you're looking at it as a barrier, then maybe this isn't the right place for that type of person. But that's also presents an opportunity as well, right? Because you're carving out a lane that's never been there before. So 2 ways to look at it. Got 2 folks yet. Maybe we'll go to Bart. I feel like since you've spanned such a time period, when you talk about 25 years you said you've been working as a creative, maybe you could shed some light on like where things were and where they are now in Omaha as a creative.
Omaha's really grown. Like, when I started, 25 years ago when I started showing artwork in Omaha, I was showing art in coffee shops and pizza shops. And, now we have art districts. Like our state has, it's in the law. We have creative art districts. There's no one path for artists. Like, we all have to find our own way. And I think you were kind of alluding to that. Over the years, we've watched a lot of creative people leave Omaha, which is always sad. I know in the past, people have been upset when people have left, but also sometimes they were upset when they came back, like where the community was a little harsh on them, like, oh, you thought you could achieve in Chicago. And you shouldn't punish people for trying to grow and chase their dreams.
Yeah.
I've left Omaha to pursue education and other experiences. But I've also learned you can leave Omaha. Like, you don't have to leave Omaha to be successful. You can try to work in other cities. In fact, on the commercial side of my practice, when it comes to like standalone art objects, whether they be sculptures or paintings, like I make most of my money outside of Omaha. I'm represented by a gallery in Des Moines, which is connected to me a lot of the corporate clients in Des Moines. And so I do a lot of sales like 2 hours from here, which is odd. Where I'm exotic enough to be of interest. Where in my own hometown, Omaha's, it's kind of weird. Like, in my experience, might be different than other people, but I bet it's not. Like, everyone will tell you they love you. Everyone's really proud of you. They'll pat you on your back and say they're going to get something, but then they buy a sticker or they buy a T-shirt, and like you can't like rents due. And
Could you buy 1,000 of those, actually?
Got plenty more stickers if you want more.
And so you have to build relationships within your city. I feel like I'm going to go all over the place. You have to build relationships in your city, but you have to build relationships within your industry as well. I've worked with galleries in New York. I've worked with galleries outside of Omaha. I've applied for opportunities like regional art centers, different museums that are doing regional shows, shows that is a national call. Do those things because 2 years ago, I had a 20-year retrospective of my artwork showing at the Turchin Center for Arts in Boone, North Carolina. And I don't have a relationship to the state of North Carolina, but I worked with a curator who worked for the Sioux City Art Center. And if you're easy to work with and you build a relationship, like they moved on to curate for a museum on the other side of the country. And when they started scheduling, looking at their schedules, they thought of me because they had worked with me and we had an established relationship. And so I had this opportunity to show 20 years of my life. And that became like people in Omaha were like, why don't you do that here? And that answer is complex because I feel like Omaha is a place where we can show and support a practice, but we're not always financially supported. And some of the bigger institutions and some of the art collecting community in Omaha don't take what we have here seriously.
100%.
Like I feel like the art community takes itself seriously, but the support systems behind it, like, kind of take us for granted at times. And stay on point, Bart. And so trying to explain to your friends why you can't have, how you're not, like they take you seriously. So telling them you don't feel like you're taken seriously here by a certain, because a community isn't just one thing, it's layers and it's complex. And I've just found part of my success is being willing to work outside of Omaha. Like you don't have to leave Omaha, but don't think this is it. The community, I'm really proud of our community. It's probably like 9 years ago. I got into the 25th anniversary of a show in the Contemporary Arts Center in Las Vegas, and I had never planned. I'm not a Las Vegas guy, and I never had any intention of ever visiting that city. But I was in this big 25th anniversary show, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to Vegas, and I'll go see the art. And when I looked up public art, their definition of public art is like all the sculptures that are hanging in the middle of these casinos. And so I was like, there's got to be something more than that. And so I contacted the Nevada Arts Council, and I was like, well, what is art here? And so they kind of connected me with the university and then the local art scene in Las Vegas, because there's this entire other city where like the people that work in those casinos live. It's so much more than the Strip.
Right.
And I went and saw the local artists putting on shows in vacant storefronts, and it was a lot of do-it-yourself that was getting no support, and it made me realize how rich Omaha is. Like the Benson neighborhood with Benson First Friday, Vinton Street on Second Fridays, little spots around the city, the hot shops as just a community of artists. Like I thought Las Vegas would have a thriving art scene but if you met the locals. Like Las Vegas doesn't put any money into anything that doesn't make a ton of money. And so coming back from Vegas, I was just like, we're thriving. We're supporting ourselves. But telling Omahans how good it is here and how rich this community is, it sounds odd, but it can be a hard sell to ourselves. But we got something special here, is what in my experience has been. It won't always, don't limit yourself to this. Like, chase your dreams as far as you can, but it's a great base to do it from.
I agree with that about the community, because like even being at hot shops, it's just amazing how many people come through and support artists on open house days. They're intentional. Every year they come just so they can support artists. And I just really feel like people really want artists to thrive. It's really educating people about what artists go through and what I guess is needed to support, because it's not always monetary. It's not always you got to buy an art piece. Please share my stuff, tell other people about it. So other people are interested, please just tell people. But I believe people really do want to make sure artists are thriving here.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow. Yeah, that was it. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, it really resonates with me. I still, we've got a business, we've got, clients and employees and things like that, but I still feel myself like a starving artist for the work that we're doing and the amount of engagement that it gets. It's very surprising how low it is to me. Like, we're the biggest agency of our kind in the whole state. We have a pretty big network at this point, but you go to the Stable Gray page and we get 26 likes. It's like, out of all of these people, 26 people like it or comment or engage. So it's interesting to watch that engagement piece play out. I do think that Omaha has we'll wait until we see confirmation kind of behavior with the things that we support. So it's like once it's validated by a certain collection of people, then everybody jumps on and says, oh, okay, this is likable. I'll go ahead and hit the like button now. So you do, just an aside to that is you have to stay the course through that when you're not getting, the support that you think you should if you believe in the creative work that you're doing. So I just wanted to touch on that because I think a lot of people give up just because they're not getting social media likes or whatever. But that doesn't mean the art isn't great,
The social media piece is a whole thing.
It's a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
Well, we were going to you, Tara. So anything you want to talk about?
Honestly, like, I don't have like a plethora of like experience to come from Omaha being a great place to thrive, but like, I've always like from kind of like an outside / kind of on the inside perspective of the art community in Omaha, have been like, I just gush about it to people that don't know about it because I really think what we have here is really special, and I do think that there's a ton of opportunity, and there's a ton of these artist pockets in Omaha all over the city, north, south, what, I don't know about west as much, but I don't like West Omaha. Over in Benson, and it's just like it's so much fun to be a part of, and like it's so much fun to have these First Fridays that are like just dedicated to artists, and all you see up and down the street is just different artists, and the community is gathered together, and people are in the galleries and talking to each other and mixing and mingling in all of these separate communities, and I think it's just such a special thing to be a part of.
Very interesting. Hearing these different perspectives, it really is. We've got a follow-up to that, but I want to be sensitive of time. So there is a hot take that has been presented. I want to jump to the hot take. Tara, can you lead us on the hot take? This is a hot and spicy take, so I want you to kind of talk about
We're getting hot and spicy
the
here,
context on this hot take.
The context.
So this segment of our show is we share an idea or a topic that is typically controversial. So it'll probably create some diverging opinions about things. But yeah. Sarah.
Yeah, feel free to be as opinionated as possible. That's what we like. Gotta have a little drama in our lives, right?
It's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's a great one. I think we could get a lot from this. So our statement is artists should never behave as a commodity. What does that mean to you, Eduardo? We'll start with you.
I think I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. We're like, being an artist, you're kind of forced to wear all these different hats, right? You have to be your own promoter. You have to know about marketing. Sometimes you need to be a community advocate. You need to have good public speaking skills. You need to lead workshops. Oh, and then by the way, you need to do your art too. Make sure that that's on point. And so going back to like, okay, should artists behave as a commodity? I would say no, because I didn't hop into doing art full time or doing art in general so that I could wear all these different hats. Like, firstly, like my art philosophy is like I'm doing my art for me, myself first. I'm not doing it for social media. I'm not doing it for validation. Like, yeah, of course that always feels good, but like innately, like I felt like there was something to express, and so I want to do that before I do anything. And then maybe like if I have my eyes set on certain goals and I know that I might need to teach a workshop to get to that next step, or like this would look really good on like my resume, then yeah, like maybe I'll do those things. And so maybe there's times where I do have to behave as a commodity, kind of like put myself out there and do my dance a little bit. But I don't want to all the time. And it doesn't seem fair that artists should have to behave that way just to like make a living and just to be considered, almost like to your point, to feel like validated. Like I've believed in myself all along, and now just because I'm finally getting a few likes, like, oh, now I'm good enough. Now you believe in me because I'm doing this workshop or because I was shared by this person, but like I'm doing the same thing that I was doing 6 months ago. So should you? I want to say no, but is it necessary sometimes? Depending on who you are, yeah, probably.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Getting a little heated.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Well, let's see what Bart has to say about this.
I don't think people are commodities. I can relate to a lot of what Eduardo said. Like artists are specialized small businesses. Like we tend to romanticize creators and the creative practice, but really we provide we provide commodities. We make products that are available for sales. Usually they're unique, one of a kind objects. Like I love how your cards are all one of a kinds. Like they're not mass produced. There's not like 2,000 of these things out there. It's just one. But we provide a product or we provide a service. And so like we have to find niches for those things. But yeah, I like how you said it was going to be a controversial statement because it's like people are not commodities. We're human beings. Like we are culture makers. We're part of the city's culture.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on.
Preach.
Like we're all priceless. But you know, we have bills and we have to make products and we have to sell things. And I think there's no shame in survival. I think we should respect ourselves as specialized small businesses, and we should. In Omaha, it's kind of on us to educate the community outside of the creative community that we have value and we contribute. Like I feel I think we're coming up on a lot of fundraisers right now where artists are being asked to donate a lot of things.
That time of year.
And I think the nonprofit community that asks us of those things has learned a lot because so much when 10, 15, 20 years ago they just wanted you to give them things. Where now most people offer you half of the sale because they realize we have to sustain our small businesses too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but about about artists viewing themselves as a commodity, and let me come back to that because
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Jen, what did
I want to hear.
Can I say
hear.
something before Jen? I just real quick, like I don't want to I guess I don't view myself as a commodity. I'm worried about the public's perception of us. So like, do y'all remember a couple years ago? I don't remember about what public issue it was, but LeBron James spoke out about something, and some reporter was like, "Just shut up and dribble."
I
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Like, because
yeah.
you're only viewed as a basketball
a
player.
monolith.
Yeah, like
so you can only talk about.
yeah, exactly. So like, I guess like kind of giving more background on where my comments are coming from. I guess like I wouldn't say that I view myself as like this commodity, but to the public, like we are these special like individual small businesses, but sometimes like the public does and is going to view you as like you're Jen the artist, you're Bart with the dreads that makes the cool art. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe I'm only looking at the bad side of humanity, but that's where I guess I was looking at it. Like, I
Yeah.
would never view us that way, but sometimes we're kind of viewed in our own lane that way. We're
Yeah.
viewed as like one dimensional.
Yeah, I that jogged my memory of what I was going to say. Definitely about being a monolith. That is super important. But to unpack that a little bit, the idea that I was writing down from Bart was that we're all culture makers. You mentioned that, and
I like that.
that is a piece that always gets overlooked. Art creates the community. That's what art does. It creates the culture and it creates the community because art has this unique ability to tell us who we are and to also, hold a mirror up to ourselves and show ourselves where we come from and what we are, who we are. And I don't think there's any other profession that can do that. I think marketing and things like that can help to set the tone, but at the end of the day, it's the spaces that we occupy, the way they're designed, the insignias, the symbolism, the things like that really tell us what we are and what we stand for. And that's why we seen this kind of insurgence of people tearing down old symbols, right, from the past of slavery figures and things like that, statues that are being knocked over because people no longer want that art to represent them. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say.
That's good.
I got
good.
so I guess I'm Jen.
Man, that really, really like cut up. You know what I'm saying? Like it was good. Like I'm like, yeah. I ain't even gotta say that now. So I'm more like agreeing. Like, so it's I have to be on all these different sides of it, creating an actual product for people to purchase for sometimes capitalistic reasons, holidays. It's what holiday is? Mother's Day. Huge, big. It's a big one for me. I enjoy it because I don't see so much that I'm a part of being like this. I'm just this person creating a card to give away for Mother's Day because it's a made-up holiday or something. It's honestly, it's an opportunity for you to encourage someone you see as a mother figure in your life, so I can be a part of that. And that's the thing I love about art is like I don't see it so much. I don't see it as a commodity. We're people. We have so much depth and there's so many beautiful things. And yes, I have to understand marketing. I have to understand how business works because honestly, all you do as a business owner is solve a problem with your product or service. That's all you're doing. The problem I'm solving is like, hey, I want to be thoughtful and intentional. How can I do that in a way? Because this person of mine really likes creativity. They really love intentionality. They love a portrait of themselves in front of their favorite vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you call on an Eduardo, original piece, and get a awesome commission, for them. Like, just thinking about that, or an awesome jean jacket, with their favorite spirit animal. I don't know. But, like, it's just, we're not commodity, but we produce something from what's deep within us that people want for themselves or to share with someone else. We're just sharing something that comes out of us. And that's something people have to understand the distinction. Like use the example of shut up and dribble. That's one thing that human being does, that human being living does. But you can't only relate to them that one thing. You have to understand that just because you only relate that way doesn't mean the other pieces don't exist.
Yeah.
The person is bringing something that they enjoy doing out for you to enjoy and share, however you want to use it. But I love that art is so much deeper than that. There's so many levels and layers. And I don't think there's any shame in how you make art happen or how you make it thrive for yourself. There's value in all of it. I love that word value because that's honestly, I feel like that's my life calling is just to help people understand their value. And I think it all matters and it's all important, but please don't wipe away how much people matter in their depth. Don't try to devalue someone that way so that it's an excuse for you to not properly value them or give them the, flowers that they deserve,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we got one last question for you guys. Artificial intelligence technology. It's I would say it's coming, but it's already here in a lot of ways. We were in the office yesterday and I heard the design team, some of which are here today, saying, "Oh, this is really good. This is really good." And they're talking about using some AI tools to help streamline processes for making copywriting easier and things like that. So the question is begged today: how has technological advances impacted the world of art? Is AI taking our jobs? Is it taking our creative ability away? Is it helping you? Is anyone using technology to help make art? I'm going to leave this one open. Anybody jump in. I'm not going to ask a person unless no one volunteers.
I guess I can start.
All right, ladies first. All right.
All right. Well,
You're kind of on a roll right now anyway.
I guess so.
keep it
It's
hot.
me.
I'll
Keep
stay
it
on
hot.
it.
Keep it going.
Keep going.
I am so old school, y'all. Okay, I love paper calendars. Okay, we'll start there.
Is that a paper planner?
This is a paper planner. I love note taking. Okay, it's just I love pen to paper. I love picking up a book and reading the pages, and like I I just am that way. Now I can appreciate technology. I don't like to touch it, like, is it taking our jobs? I feel like that's just such a tricky place to get into. I feel like it's how you use it. How I use it, it's, I finally got like an iPad a few years ago, and I really like kind of learning how to use like Procreate. It's helped me like set up stuff. Like I use it for if I do an event planning job. I use it for if I'm doing a commission. Like I can like sketch out stuff, and a person can easily see what the heck I'm talking about. I can do some digital art. Like I'll do coloring pages, like custom coloring pages for events sometimes. So it does make things a little easier. But I do still want to put that paintbrush to paper, or pen to paper, and do those things like that. But I feel like there is use. Can it be abused like anything else? Definitely. For sure. But I think it is useful. It can help me. I probably mostly use the AI right now just to help me write out documents and stuff. That's mostly what I use it for. But man, as an art, I don't know. That's tricky for me. I don't know about that.
Well, Procreate.
Procreate.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. I've got a list of AI generator tools here. You've got some surprising ones on this list. Shutterstock. They have an AI image generator now.
Oh.
I've seen that.
Dolly, it's Dolly 2. I haven't heard of that one. Hot Pot is like, it makes like a portrait. And I know there's also like Sora or Sonora. I forget the
Oh, I
name.
think I've heard of that.
Yeah, Sora, AI. And then what's the chat bot?
GBT.
Yeah, there's Chat GPT. I think
Yeah,
you can
that's
use
what the
that
one I do.
API to generate things as well. But yeah, Sora and Dolly they're intertwined.
I don't know enough about the impact that it's had across various industries to say that they're taking people's jobs. I would think that it's probably the AI tools are probably just going to be used like any other tool. It's just going to become a tool that humans use. I think maybe like the real hot take is if a human is using AI as a tool, is it still art? Right, like
that's
that's
where I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. I guess like to each their own. But I think the impact that it's going to have on like me as I guess like a painter, I think people are still going to want to appreciate and they're still going to want a human's touch on canvas. Like I think maybe that style of painting will become almost like a purist form. Like, oh, you like paintings made from a human?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's like vinyl coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
see
no,
people
I
buying
like
that.
my music on CDs actually.
Yeah.
So
I
I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I haven't used it a whole lot. I like play around with it, but like I said, I don't know enough on how to use
Yeah.
it to incorporate it on a daily practice.
I gotcha.
Right. I mean,
And it is still fairly young. I mean, you've even got Canva. Canva has
do
a
like
tool
do
now.
that.
So
Oh, really?
A lot of people use Canva, and now
Yeah.
Canva has a plugin. And then the other big one is Midjourney. I want to make sure I mention that one. So it hits the algorithms.
yeah.
But yeah, any other thoughts? It looks like got some here.
I'm a huge science fiction fan, and I feel like the last 50 years of science fiction, or even the last 100 years of science fiction, have like given us this dystopian future of what AI would be. And so,
Yeah.
like, having humanity having to facing a godlike intelligence that was not human, and then finally seeing what we're doing with it has been kind of comical and amusing.
Yeah.
Because like as an educator, like I'm watching my students, like I work with 16-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and that generation writes a certain way, and then seeing the writing that shows up on online classes and in discussion boards, and then like we have this industry of AI creating content, but there's also a back industry of AI detection software. And so like, and everything's free right now because they're using, and like my students tell me how it's stupid because they're not charging us anything to use this stuff. And I was like, no, they're not.
They're beta testers.
It's like we're beta testing something for
Yeah.
free for them.
Yeah.
If a product is free, at the end of the day, you're probably the product. Like,
Yeah.
Dang. Not all these mics over right now.
I have graphic design friends who like I know a local graphic designer who specializes in branding and logos. He feels like his business has been hurt by these AI generators. I know a lot of artists who are using it just to make memes and just silly things. Nationally we hear of artists who, like the copyright issues with how these databases are mining the internet and creating things in somebody's style. Those are going to be things we have to face. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
If anything, it'll become more complex and get worse. But we don't like the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
I haven't had much experience with it except vicariously through other business people. But like growing up on science fiction like Neuromancer, which is it's William Gibson. He was the author that coined the phrase cyberspace, and just how powerful the characters were of artificial intelligence, and then watching my friends make memes. It's like this was not the future I was expecting.
Oh man. I just know Mid-Journey in particular. It looks real. Like you're able to type in this chat box and describe the scene that you want to create, and it, I guess, has a catalog of every photo ever produced for those keywords on Google search, Bing. I think it crawls all the search engines, and then finds the common thread between those photos and says, oh, okay, so a man riding a horse that looks like a buck would look like this, and so it can draw it out using pixels, and it looks real. So I do think there is a point where plagiarism is going to become a big issue because it's using existing models, right?
Yeah,
as
it's all
its
existing.
reference.
Existing. Yeah.
So interesting topic. How are you feeling about this AI thing? You're using
I
some
use a
of it.
lot of it.
You use a lot of it
Yeah.
on the jean
It is,
jackets?
okay, so no. This is all hand painted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just had to check. I don't know.
You're using a laser jet back there.
Yeah, right, secretly. So I have to write copy every month for multiple companies, and like having to write it yourself, coming up with these like catchy lines and writing in a brand voice, it's just like really overwhelming. So I use Copy AI to write all of my copywritten material for websites and social media marketing. And I'm not gonna lie, like I love it because it cuts my work time from like 5 hours to like an hour and a half.
But you're using it as like a starting point, is my understanding.
Yeah,
Or
I have
you
to
actually-
edit it.
Okay.
It's never perfect. You always got to add your specific call to action. You got to edit some of the words out because sometimes it's like really elaborate and like transformative, elaborate words. And you're like, wow, that's definitely not what this would sound like. So, it's a nice starting point to work with for me in the graphic design field. Also, another thing that has been generated is Photoshop has AI generation now.
Oh.
I actually do use
Oh, I
that
didn't
for
know that.
photo editing, to
Yeah.
like crop out the background and things like
Like they
that.
have a, say they have a wrist hairband on their wrist, and you just circle that point, and you're like, please take out the hairband, and then it's just like a regular wrist. Now it's not like at the best point possible yet. It's all very new, so like sometimes you'll get like the hairband with like a dashed line coming out of it, or like, you know what I mean? Like the options that they give you aren't like the best possible options yet, but it's still pretty amazing like what you can do in Photoshop in photo manipulation with this generative AI. is it probably copyrighted material? Yes, and I do feel strongly against using copyrighted material, so I only use it in like very small ways in photo editing. I won't create like whole pieces out of it or anything like that. I've played with the dolly when it came out back at my old job because our website director was kind of a AI nerd, and so he like came into the office. He's like, check this out. And we're like writing these crazy things about aliens and all this stuff, and so it's like generating these really weird images and
Cool.
I don't know. It was fun to play with, but like would I ever use it as like saying like, oh, this is my piece of no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it can be used for specific reasons in a reasonable way. Just like anything else can be used in moderation. Just like taking it to an extreme probably isn't a
Spaghetti,
good thing. Yeah.
Spaghetti,
Yeah.
fried chicken, all things you have to use sparingly.
If they make sci-fi movies better, I'm all cool
Yeah.
with that. Like I saw
Yeah,
Dune
he's
2 last
fine.
night.
Oh,
Oh, is that good?
And, yeah, it was great. It was
So
great. I don't know
nice.
if they used AI for it, but like seeing like the sci-fi movies like, you know, made from like the 70s, maybe like with some remakes now,
Mhm.
like just with technology getting more advanced, like they're looking really good
Yeah.
these days. So pop off, make great movies.
did it.
I
I
think
can tell you haven't read the book.
I have not read the book. I'm not.
Got some bookworms here.
I would say just one last thought was like as y'all were talking, that little twinge of fear that I've had in the past, and I had to kind of just brush it off, was just that, you know, folks' expectation and the value that they put on an artist who is painting on canvas, are they going to want it to look like it was AI generated? Is that what they're going to value now, rather than what we do as a, you know, discipline? But you know,
Yeah, and
that
the-
just makes me, you know, about with how capitalism works and everything. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the beautiful thing about the human brain is we can adapt. So even in the midst of technology taking a market share in any way, shape, or form, there's always a place where you can create and,
Yeah.
and break the rules and do something that a program can't do. No matter how advanced it gets, it just can't cover everything, you know. So we didn't talk about the Culxr House. I want to just touch on that as
Yeah,
we're
maybe we
exiting
should throw
out.
out a little something about
Just
that.
a tidbit. Don't want to take too much time because we are about at time. They have a program that they have put in place called the Art Battle, and from what I hear, you've participated in it. Can you just talk about the Culxr House and the impact that they've had on art in Omaha, helping to create that synergy with the Art Battle?
You know what I really think like the art battle has done has given opportunity to so many more artists that like wouldn't put themselves out there. Like, because a lot of times like now I don't know every artist that puts their work out there, but you know, I see a lot of repeat people in the community getting their work out there, and then I go to the art battle and I see people I've never heard of before. And it's like these people that are like taking a chance to be in front of somebody and do something in 20 minutes, and it's exciting, and you know what I mean, and you want to follow along, so everybody's walking around the room taking pictures, and like, you know, it's like, it's just, it's a really like vibing atmosphere that is fun to be a part of and is fun to experience. Like Jen and I have both been in it before, and it's like kind of a rush doing it. And I think it just provides like a different avenue for people to try something out, and like, you know, like they might paint at home and think, well, I paint, I could try this thing, you know what I mean? And like, I just think what Marcy's doing over there for the community is so special, and he's just like giving so much opportunity to people, and like different, even musicians all the time. He's constantly got people playing there, so it's like turned it into a venue, and now he's got the fashion shows going, and he's made that a regular thing. And you know, I think Teddy and Jen could probably touch some more on this than even I can. So
Okay. Has anybody else had touch points with the Culxr House and have any thoughts on that? Because it really does seem to be one of the hubs, because we talked about hot shops, Benson First Fridays. I think for the deep North Omaha, it's a spot now that people like to frequent that are in the artist space.
You know, we've talked about, like, is Omaha a thriving art community? Like, when you said, like, you go to the art battle and you don't recognize half the names, that is a great sign of a thriving art community, that the next generation is coming to participate. I've heard complaints in other parts of the art community about, like, I don't know half the people in this show, and I'm like,
That's
a good thing.
that's a good thing.
Like, why is that a problem?
Yeah, it's like, don't become a cranky old man like you used to make fun of. Like for Omaha to sustain itself, we need those artists that we don't know. We need the younger people to step up, and I'm really glad Culxr House is providing those opportunities.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's
That's a
really
good
cool.
point.
I love it there.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts as we wrap up here? Culxr House,
Oh, on Culxr House?
on the Culxr House,
Oh.
yeah.
I don't know. It's a great place for people to start, and just be connected to community. I love that it's there, and you'll actually see more of my workshops there as well.
Yeah, we're gonna teach a couple over there.
Yeah.
Nice,
So it's just a wonderful hub, and it's just evidence, like you were saying, Bart, that there is a thriving community, and there's people who really want to be intentional in expanding that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Good to hear that. Didn't know that was going on.
yeah.
I would just second all of what's been said, but also my experience with the Culxr House is they've done an excellent job of collaborating with local nonprofits as well.
Love it.
So it's not like minimizing it. Like, yeah, they're doing a wonderful job providing opportunities to unknown artists that maybe otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity or maybe feel comfortable to put themselves out there, but also being an established part of a community that has been kind of overlooked a little bit, and kind of being a part of like a resurgence, and knowing that they can collaborate and other organizations within Omaha can collaborate with them as well has, I think, gone a long way, especially in the nonprofit world where like there's just lots of underrepresented groups.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
So
So
the
what-
aid is extending beyond artists.
Yeah, one of the
short story long.
I guess one of the things about the events that happen down there is just the diversity of people that you
So
you
diverse.
see.
So diverse.
You know, on 24th Street, like, you know, that art battle. I mean, people that probably just wouldn't come down there. You're seeing at the art battle, they don't care. They come in, they're like, man, this is cool. They're just here to take in the event and to support, you know, their family, their friends, and the artists. And you see that can happen, right?
Yeah.
In this part of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.